Life is a grand adventure filled with twists and turns, ups and downs. But here's something you might not expect to hear. Don't be kind. Now, before you recoil in shock, let me explain. I'm not advocating for cruelty or meanness. Far from it. What I'm talking about is a different kind of kindness, a tougher, more honest, and ultimately more beneficial approach to life and the people around you. Too often we confuse being kind with being nice. We tiptoe around difficult truths, avoid confrontation, and sacrifice our own well-being in the name of keeping others comfortable. But is this truly kind? Or is it a disservice to ourselves and those we care about? Think about it. When you see someone you care about making a mistake, do you speak up or stay silent to avoid hurting their feelings? When a friend or colleague is underperforming, do you offer honest feedback or sugarcoat the truth? When you're stretched thin, do you say yes to every request? Or do you set boundaries? True kindness isn't about making people feel good in the moment. It's about helping them grow, improve, and face reality. It's about being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about respecting yourself enough to set boundaries and respecting others enough to believe they can handle the truth. Consider the parent who never disciplines their child, always giving in to avoid tears or tantrums. Is this kindness? Or is it setting the child up for a rude awakening when they enter the real world? The truly kind parent provides structure, sets limits, and yes, sometimes says no. They prepare their child for the challenges ahead, even if it means short-term discomfort. Or think about a manager who never gives critical feedback, always praising mediocre work to keep morale high. Is this kindness? Or is it robbing employees of the opportunity to improve, to reach their full potential? The truly kind manager offers constructive criticism, challenges their team to do better, and holds people accountable. They invest in their employees' long-term success, even if it means having difficult conversations. You. How often do you sacrifice your own needs in the name of being kind to others? Do you take on extra work to avoid disappointing a colleague? Do you agree to plans you don't enjoy to please a friend? Do you lend money you can't afford to spare because you don't want to say no? This isn't kindness. It's self-sabotage. And ironically, it often leads to resentment, burnout, and damaged relationships, the very things you were trying to avoid by being kind. True kindness starts with being kind to yourself. It means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and taking care of your own needs. Because here's the truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. When you're depleted, stressed, and resentful, you have nothing left to give others. But when you prioritize your own well-being, you have the energy and resources to truly support those around you. So don't be kind, at least not in the way society often defines it. Instead, be honest, be authentic, be respectful of yourself and others. This is the path to genuine kindness, the kind that makes a real difference. Now you might be thinking, this sounds harsh. When I hurt people's feelings, when I lose friends, it's a valid concern. We're conditioned to equate niceness with goodness, to fear conflict and disapproval. But here's the thing. People are more resilient than we give them credit for. And most people, deep down, appreciate honesty. Think about the times in your life when you've grown the most. Was it when everything was easy and comfortable? Or was it when you faced challenges, when someone pushed you out of your comfort zone, when you had to confront hard truths about yourself? Growth is often uncomfortable. It requires us to acknowledge our weaknesses, to face our fears, to push beyond our limits. By always being kind, by which we often mean avoiding discomfort, we rob ourselves and others of these growth opportunities. Imagine a world where everyone practiced this tougher, more honest form of kindness, a world where feedback was given and received openly, where people communicated their needs clearly, where we all took responsibility for our actions and their consequences. Wouldn't that be a more productive, more authentic, more truly kind world? This doesn't mean being brutal or callous. There's a big difference between honest feedback and cruel criticism, between setting boundaries and being selfish, between holding people accountable and being punitive. The key is intention and delivery. When you offer criticism, do it with the genuine intention of helping the other person improve. When you set a boundary, explain your reasoning and offer alternatives if possible. When you hold someone accountable, do it fairly and consistently. And always, always communicate with respect. This approach requires courage. It's much easier to stay silent, to go along to get along, to avoid rocking the boat. But easy isn't always right. And in the long run, this tougher form of kindness leads to stronger relationships, greater personal growth, and a more fulfilling life. Let's look at some practical examples of how this might play out in your life. In your personal relationships, it might mean having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe your friend has a habit that's been bothering you, or your partner isn't meeting your needs in some way. Instead of silently stewing or making passive-aggressive comments, you sit down and have an open, honest discussion. Yes, it might be uncomfortable in the moment, but it clears the air, prevents resentment from building up, and gives you both the opportunity to address the issue and strengthen your relationship. At work, it might mean speaking up in a meeting when you disagree with a decision, even if it means going against the consensus. It might mean admitting to a mistake you made rather than trying to cover it up or blame others. It might mean telling your boss that their deadline is unrealistic, rather than burning yourself out trying to meet it. These actions take courage, but they foster a culture of honesty, accountability, and mutual respect. In your community, it might mean volunteering for causes you believe in, even if they're controversial. It might mean calling out discrimination or injustice when you see it, even if it makes others uncomfortable. It might mean running for local office or starting a community initiative, even if you fear criticism or failure. These actions create positive change and inspire others to do the same. And for yourself, it might mean saying no to commitments that don't align with your values or goals. It might mean ending relationships that no longer serve you. It might mean taking risks and pursuing your dreams, even if others don't understand or approve. These actions honor your authentic self and allow you to live a life true to your values. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but what about compassion? What about empathy? Aren't these important aspects of kindness? Absolutely. Compassion and empathy are crucial. But true compassion isn't about shielding people from all discomfort or difficulty. It's about supporting them as they navigate life's challenges, believing in their ability to handle tough situations, and helping them become the best version of themselves. A time when someone you respect gave you tough but fair feedback. In the moment, it might have stung. But looking back, aren't you grateful? Didn't it help you grow? That's compassion in action. It's not always comfortable, but it's deeply valuable. Now consider a time when you were going through a tough situation and a friend or loved one was there for you. Did they try to fix everything for you or shield you from all pain? Or did they offer support while allowing you to find your own way through? The latter is true compassion. It honors your strength and capability while offering a safety net. This tougher form of kindness also requires self-compassion. It means forgiving yourself when you make mistakes, but also holding yourself accountable to do better next time. It means acknowledging your flaws and weaknesses, but not letting them define you. It means pushing yourself to grow and improve, but also knowing when to rest and recharge. Now, let's address a common misconception. Some people might hear "don't be kind" and think it means becoming cold, uncaring, or selfish. Nothing could be further from the truth. This approach actually allows for deeper, more meaningful connections and a greater positive impact in the world around you. When you're honest with others, you create space for authentic relationships. When you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, you teach others how to treat you and model healthy behavior. When you hold people accountable, you help them grow and contribute their best to the world. And when you take care of your own needs, you have more to give to others. This isn't about becoming hard-hearted or indifferent to others' feelings. It's about finding a balance between compassion and honesty, between caring for others and caring for yourself. It's about recognizing that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is tell the truth. Set a limit or let someone face the consequences of their actions. Think of it like someone about to step off a cliff. Would you politely stay silent to avoid alarming them? Of course not. You'd shout a warning, maybe even physically pull them back. In that moment, their safety is more important than their momentary comfort. This is the essence of the tougher kindness we're talking about. It prioritizes long-term well-being over short-term comfort. Now, adopting this approach isn't always easy. It requires self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and often courage. You need to be able to distinguish between times when gentle support is needed and times when a firmer approach is necessary. You need to be willing to sit with discomfort, your own and others. You need to trust in people's resilience and capacity for growth. But the rewards are worth it. As you practice this tougher, more honest form of kindness, you'll likely notice some changes. Your relationships may become deeper and more authentic. When you create an environment of honesty and mutual respect, people feel safe to be their true selves around you. You'll attract others who value personal growth and authenticity. Your self-respect will grow. Each time you honor your own needs and boundaries, you're sending a powerful message to yourself about your own worth. This self-respect becomes a solid foundation from which you can support others. You may find yourself more respected at work. When you're known for your integrity and willingness to speak up constructively, people take notice. You become someone people trust and turn to for honest input. Your personal growth may accelerate. By embracing discomfort and facing challenges head-on, you create more opportunities for learning and development. You become more resilient, more adaptable, more capable of handling whatever life throws your way. You may feel a greater sense of purpose and fulfillment when you're living in alignment with your values, speaking your truth, and making a real difference in people's lives, even if it's not always comfortable. You tap into a deep sense of meaning. This speak loach doesn't mean you should go around bluntly telling everyone exactly what you think all the time. Tact, timing, and context still matter. The goal is not to be hurtful, but to be helpful. Sometimes the kind thing to do is to hold your tongue. But when you do speak, let it be with honesty and good intentions. It's also important to remember that this is a skill that takes practice. You won't always get it right. There will be times when you misjudge a situation, when your words come out wrong, when your intentions are misunderstood. That's okay. Learn from these experiences. Apologize when necessary. Adjust your approach and keep trying. As you embark on this journey of tougher kindness, start small. Maybe it's giving honest feedback to a friend who asks for your opinion on their work. Maybe it's saying no to a social engagement you don't have the energy for. Maybe it's admitting to a mistake at work instead of trying to cover it up. Each of these small acts builds your courage muscle and paves the way for bigger actions. Remember, too, that this approach isn't one size fits all. Different situations call for different levels of directness. A child might need a gentler approach than an adult colleague. A sensitive personal issue might require more tact than a professional disagreement. Trust your judgment and be willing to adapt your approach as needed. As you practice this tougher kindness, you may find that it becomes easier over time. What once felt uncomfortable becomes second nature. You'll develop a reputation as someone who can be counted on for honesty and integrity. People may even start coming to you for the straight talk they can't get elsewhere. But perhaps the most powerful change will be in how you feel about yourself. There's a unique kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're living authentically, that you're not compromising your values or sacrificing your well-being in a misguided attempt to be nice. You'll feel more in control of your life, more aligned with your true self. This doesn't mean you'll never struggle or doubt yourself. Growth is an ongoing process, and there will always be new challenges to face. But you'll face them with a stronger sense of self, a clearer understanding of your values, and the knowledge that you have the courage to do what's right, even when it's difficult. So I challenge you, don't be kind, at least not in the way society often defines it. Instead, be honest, be authentic, be respectful of yourself and others. Have the courage to speak truth, to set boundaries, to hold yourself and others accountable. Be willing to face discomfort for the sake of growth and positive change. This is the path to true kindness, the kind that makes a real, lasting difference in your life and the lives of those around you. It's not always easy, but it's deeply rewarding. It's a path that leads to stronger relationships, greater personal growth, and a more fulfilling life. Remember, every time you choose honesty over false niceness, every time you set a healthy boundary, every time you offer constructive feedback or hold someone accountable, you're not just helping yourself, you're contributing to a culture of authenticity and growth. You're giving others permission to do the same. You're creating ripples of positive change that extend far beyond your immediate circle. Imagine a world where this was the norm, where people communicated openly and honestly, where feedback was given and received in a spirit of mutual growth, where we all took responsibility for our actions and their consequences, where we supported each other through challenges rather than trying to shield each other from all discomfort. Wouldn't that be a more productive, more authentic, more truly kind world? You have the power to start creating that world right here, right now. It starts with your next interaction, your next decision, your next opportunity to choose courage over comfort, honesty over false niceness, true kindness over superficial pleasantries. So as you go forward from here, I urge you to embrace this tougher, more honest form of kindness. Be brave enough to speak your truth. Be strong enough to set boundaries. Be compassionate enough to hold others accountable. Be kind enough to yourself to honor your own needs and values. It won't always be easy. There will be times when you falter, when you're tempted to fall back into old patterns of people-pleasing or conflict avoidance. In those moments, remember why you're doing this. Remember the deeper, more authentic relationships you're cultivating. Remember the personal growth you're fostering in yourself and others. Remember the positive change you're creating in the world around you. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. As you practice this tougher kindness, you'll likely find others who resonate with this approach. You'll inspire them, and they'll inspire you. Together, you can create a community of growth, authenticity, and true kindness. So don't be kind, at least not in the shallow, short-sighted way our society often defines it. Instead, be truly kind. Be courageously, authentically, powerfully kind. Be the kind of person who makes a real difference in your own life and in the lives of those around you. The path ahead may not always be smooth, but it will always be worthwhile. Every step you take towards greater honesty, authenticity, and true kindness is a step towards a better you and a better world. And that, my friends, is the greatest kindness of all. As you leave here today, I challenge you to look for opportunities to practice this tougher kindness. Where in your life have you been avoiding a difficult conversation? Where have you been sacrificing your own needs in an attempt to please others? Where have you been holding back constructive feedback that could help someone grow? Take a deep breath, summon your courage, and take that first step. Have that conversation. Set that boundary. Offer that feedback. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but remember, growth often is, and the long-term benefits, for you, for others, for the world around you, are immeasurable. You have within you the power to create positive change. You have the strength to face discomfort for the sake of growth. You have the wisdom to know that true kindness isn't always easy or comfortable, but it's always worthwhile. So go forth with courage, with honesty, with respect. Be yourself and others. Don't be kind in the shallow, short-sighted way. Be kind in the deep, meaningful, transformative way. Be the catalyst for growth, authenticity, and positive change in your world. The journey starts now with your very next interaction. Are you ready? The world is waiting for the real you, the authentic you, the you who isn't afraid to speak truth and act with genuine kindness. As you step into this new way of being, you'll find that it touches every aspect of your life. Let's explore how this tougher, more honest kindness can transform various areas of your existence. In your personal relationships, you'll notice a shift. Gone will be the days of tiptoeing around issues, of swallowing your feelings to keep the peace. Instead, you'll find yourself engaging in open, honest dialogues. When your partner does something that bothers you, you'll address it directly, with respect and care. When a friend is making choices that concern you, you'll voice your worries, not out of judgment, but out of genuine care for their well-being. These conversations might be uncomfortable at first. You might worry about hurting feelings or causing conflict, but as you persist, something beautiful will happen. Your relationships will deepen. The people in your life will come to trust you as someone who always speaks truth, who values their growth over their momentary comfort. They'll know that when you offer praise, it's genuine, not just empty flattery. In your professional life, this approach will set you apart. In a world where many are content to go along with the status quo, your willingness to speak up will be noticed. When you see a flaw in a project plan, you'll point it out not to criticize, but to improve the outcome. When a colleague is underperforming, you'll have that difficult conversation, offering constructive feedback and support. Your bosses will come to rely on you for honest assessments. Your teammates will respect you for your integrity. You might not always be the most popular person in the room, but you'll be the one people turn to when they need the unvarnished truth. This approach will also transform your relationship with yourself. As you practice being honest with others, you'll find it easier to be honest with yourself. You'll stop making excuses for your own shortcomings and start addressing them head-on. You'll set challenging but achievable goals for yourself and hold yourself accountable to meeting them. You'll also become better at recognizing and honoring your own needs. No more saying yes to every request and burning yourself out. No more ignoring your own desires to please others. You learn to say no when necessary, to set boundaries that protect your time and energy. And paradoxically, by taking better care of yourself, you'll have more to give to others. In your community, This tougher kindness will make you a force for positive change. You'll speak up against injustice when you see it, not with anger or self-righteousness, but with a calm determination to make things right. You'll volunteer your time and skills, not just in ways that make you feel good, but in ways that truly make a difference, even if they're challenging or unglamorous. You might find yourself taking on leadership roles, not because you crave power or recognition, but because you see problems that need solving and have the courage to step up. Your honest, direct approach will inspire others to get involved, to stop complaining and start acting. As you embrace this way of living, you'll find that your definition of kindness evolves. You'll realize that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to let someone face the consequences of their actions. Not out of a desire to punish, but because you understand that growth often comes through challenges. You'll see that sometimes being kind means walking away from a relationship that's no longer healthy or productive. Not out of anger or spite, but out of respect for yourself and the other person. You'll understand that sometimes the kindest gift you can give is the truth, even when it's not what someone wants to hear. Because you know that in the long run, truth is the foundation of growth, of authentic relationships, of a life well lived. This journey isn't always going to be easy. There will be days when you'll be tempted to slip back into old patterns of people-pleasing and conflict avoidance. There will be times when your honesty is misunderstood, when your attempts at genuine kindness are met with resistance or even hostility. In these moments, remember why you started this journey. Remember the strength that comes from living authentically. Remember the deep, meaningful connections you're building. Remember the positive change you're creating in the world around you. And remember, you're not alone. As you practice this tougher kindness, you'll find others who resonate with this approach. You'll build a community of like-minded individuals who value honesty, growth, and genuine connection. These people will support you when you falter, celebrate your successes, and inspire you to keep pushing forward. As you continue on this path, you'll start to notice subtle but significant changes in how you approach life. You'll find yourself more present in each moment, more engaged in your interactions. Because when you're not constantly trying to manage people's perceptions of you, when you're not hiding behind a facade of false niceness, you're free to be fully present. You become more resilient. Each time you have a difficult conversation, each time you set a boundary, each time you speak an uncomfortable truth, you're building your courage muscle. Over time, you'll find that situations that once seemed daunting now feel manageable. Your decision-making will improve. When you're in the habit of being honest with yourself and others, when you're not clouded by the need to please everyone, you can see situations more clearly. You'll make choices based on what's truly right, not just what's easy or popular. You might even find that your physical health improves. Stress often comes from the gap between how we present ourselves and who we really are. As you close that gap, as you live more authentically, you may notice a decrease in stress-related symptoms. You'll sleep better at night, knowing you've lived a day in alignment with your values. Your creativity may flourish. When you're not wasting mental energy on maintaining a false image, when you're open to feedback and willing to take risks, you create space for new ideas to emerge. You approach problems with fresh perspectives, unafraid to suggest unconventional solutions. As you practice this tougher kindness, you'll also become more discerning about the people you allow into your inner circle. You'll naturally gravitate towards others who value honesty and personal growth. You'll find yourself less tolerant of relationships that are based on superficiality or mutual deception. This doesn't mean you'll become judgmental or exclusionary. On the contrary, you'll likely become more accepting of people's flaws and quirks, because when you're honest about your own imperfections, it's easier to embrace the imperfections in others. You'll value people not for some idealized version of who they could be, but for who they truly are. In your professional life, this approach may lead you down unexpected paths. You might find yourself drawn to roles or projects that allow you to make a real difference, even if they're not the most prestigious or highest paying. You'll derive satisfaction not from external validation, but from knowing you're contributing something meaningful. You may become a mentor to others, sharing not just your knowledge and skills, but your approach to life. You'll inspire others to embrace honesty, to have the courage to be themselves, to prioritize genuine kindness over superficial niceness. As you continue this journey, you start to see the ripple effects of your actions. The colleague you gave honest feedback to gets a promotion and thanks you for pushing them to improve. The friend you had a difficult conversation that makes positive changes in their life and expresses gratitude for your honesty. The community project you spoke up about and got involved in starts to make a real difference. You'll realize that by refusing to be kind in the conventional sense, by embracing this tougher, more honest form of kindness, you're contributing to a better world. A world where people communicate openly and honestly. A world where we support each other's growth rather than enabling harmful behaviors. A world where we face challenges head-on instead of sweeping them under the rug. There's something powerful to consider. As you live this way, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. People around you will be inspired by your authenticity, your willingness to speak truth, your commitment to genuine kindness. They'll start to adopt similar approaches in their own lives. Imagine the cumulative effect of this. Imagine a world where more and more people are committed to honesty, to personal growth, to facing difficult truths and having courageous conversations. Imagine the problems we could solve, the innovations we could create, the connections we could build. This is the world you're helping to create? One interaction at a time, one honest conversation at a time, one act of genuine kindness at a time. So as you leave here today, I urge you to embrace this challenge. Don't be kind, at least not in the shallow, short-sighted way our society often defines kindness. Instead, be brave. Be honest. Be authentically, powerfully kind. Start with your very next interaction. Maybe it's finally having that difficult conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's setting a boundary you've been afraid to set. Maybe it's offering honest feedback to someone you care about. Maybe it's admitting a mistake you've been trying to hide. Whatever it is, approach it with courage, with honesty, and with genuine care for yourself and others. Remember, true kindness isn't about making people feel good in the moment. It's about contributing to their long-term well-being and growth, even if it means short-term discomfort. As you do this, pay attention to how it feels. Notice the sense of alignment that comes from living your truth. Notice the respect you gain from others and from yourself when you have the courage to be honest. Notice the deeper connections you form when you create space for authentic interactions. And when it gets tough, because it will get tough at times, remember why you're doing this. Remember the kind of person you're becoming. Remember the positive change you're creating in the world around you. You have within you the power to make a real difference. Not by being nice, not by always agreeing, not by avoiding conflict at all costs, but by being honest, by being authentic, by being truly, deeply kind. The world needs more of this kind of kindness. The world needs more of you, the real you, the authentic you, the you who isn't afraid to speak truth and act with genuine care. Are you ready? The journey starts now with your very next interaction. The world is waiting for the real you. Step forward with courage, with honesty, with genuine kindness. Your journey to a more authentic, more impactful life begins now. Embrace it. Live it. Be the change you wish to see in the world. The time is now and you are ready.